Game number 2 of 3 coming to you from the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. Our team is back as well, just like the Indian and West Indies teams, to take each other on. India 1-0 up in the T20I series. 3-0 was the result of the ODI series, and we're here on Cricbuzz Live to look ahead to the second game to see if India can seal the deal tonight or if West Indies can take it to Sunday and keep the series alive. We've got our panel on the show, Ajay Jadeja and Dinesh Karthik. At the very top, let me also give you toss news. It's Karen Pollard who has won the toss, and India will be setting a total. So that should make things a little bit exciting. Good evening, gentlemen. DK, let me come straight to you. Toss out of your hands in terms of the result, but might just be an opportunity for India to try and put some big runs on the board.
Oh, yes. I think, as I said, even during the ODIs, they wouldn't mind batting first, and it will be the same case here. I think one of the challenges the Indian team would like to have is the ability to bat first and post big totals, and here is another good opportunity to do that.
Ajay, obviously, we know what India are doing first. We're going to see the 11 very shortly, but I can tell everyone it's an unchanged 11 for Team India. So it just gives confidence to say that, yes, we're out to win this series rather than who else needs a go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you've seen Rohit Sharma do that pretty much. I mean, he's one of those captains who likes to, once he believes in a player or in a system, he likes to stick with it. So you didn't expect, too many changes either. I mean, yes, you have a Rahul Dravid as a coach who likes a whole different, thought process. But at the moment, I think we're going Rohit Sharma way. So no surprises there. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you've gone into a series at the start of the first match, you got to at least, go for a couple of games before you even start thinking about giving opportunities to others.
Well, with India batting first, there'll obviously be a few whispers, but I'm just going to let you guess what those whispers might be about. Hold your breath for about a minute and a half until we confirm to you what the West Indies 11 is all about. Just the one change, and again, the one change we expected, that Jason Holder walks back into the side. The only issue was it in place of Ruston Chase, who he replaced, or was it in place of Fabian Allen? The answer is it's the latter. Ajay, as Karen Pollard mentioned at the toss, it would have been Chase sits back in and Jason Holder comes in. But because of the way he bowled, I think Pollard felt he holds on to his place.
Yeah, and I think it's a better choice. I mean, you saw what Ruston Chase did with his bowling, especially with so many left-handers in the Indian batting lineup. You've got, Kishan at the top. At 4, you've got Pant. At 6, you've got Iyer. So, 3 out of the 6 main batters are left-handers. And we are in the age of the matchup. So, and on that day, he definitely matched up to any guy who was at the other end, including Rohit Sharma. So for bowling, yes, if it was for bowling between Fabian Allen and Ruston Chase, you had to go with him. So no surprises there. But Jason Holder comes back. So instead of having 3 seamers, now they've got 2 spinners, and they've got 3 seamers, which is what the wicket showed in the last game. I think it probably had a little more for the seamers, and especially the guys who hit the deck.
DK, let me come to you straight on this one. Chase ticked all the boxes with his off spin. But when it comes to his position in the batting order and the way he bats, would you like to see Pollard and Holder both come ahead of him in the batting order?
At least Pollard. I think Chase should be used as a floater, just like Ajay said last time. If, 2 or more quick wickets fall, then send him in. I think that would be the best way to use him.
Well, this time around, it's going to be a slightly different scenario for the West Indies because they will be chasing. Well, that was not meant to be a pun on Ruston. It just came out that way. But yes, they have won the toss. They're bowling first. So if India set about 200 and they're a few wickets down, then you need someone for stability. If India set them 135 and they're 80 for 1, then there's no way of seeing Ruston Chase walk in. But suspense time. I did mention what everyone's going to be talking about. And I think Rohit Sharma was quick to push aside any discussion on questions being asked about Virat Kohli. So we thought we'd pick that up rather than brushing it aside, try and put it in perspective with our experts and look at whether any of this talk was justified or if it's just DK Indian fans being Indian fans.
Look, I think over a period of time, he's given performances which have been so consistent, so match-winning, that if he has a quiet series here and there, I think it becomes hard to deal with. So, in Virat's case, I think from the little that we're hearing, he might be taking a break in the Sri Lankan series and just play the last test, which is, I think, good news for him. And he's been on the road for long now, so it'll be really good. And there's a lot of things happened in the last 3-4 months in his life, so it's going to be a much awaited break. And as you could see, those scores suggesting that if we do speak about form and we speak about strike rates, we speak about various things. But if you see the scores there, nobody will say that he's out of form. I think it's only fair to say that we are so used to him doing so well over a period of time that we find it hard to accept an odd failure here and there. So he's a solid player. I mean, there's nothing to even think about.
450s in 9 innings, but I think, as we all said, as DK just mentioned, Ajay, it's about the standards you set for yourself, and as a result, it's about expectations from your darling supporters.
Yeah, and I mean, supporters are supporters, and fans are fans. Critics are there as well. I mean, they look at it differently. So you got to accept the fans. I mean, when fans in a couple of games make somebody the best player in the country or in the world, they have the right to bring somebody down as quickly as well. And expectations are so high with Virat Kohli. I mean, it's not numbers. I mean, I think somebody like Virat Kohli is beyond numbers for me. I mean, yes, you look at numbers, and numbers will tell you a story, what has happened, what's not happened. But with Virat Kohli, I think, after watching him for 10, 15 years, if still you were going to wait for, numbers to justify whether he should be there or not, then, people who actually go with numbers, they'll have to think twice. Otherwise, there's only one thought, because post, Virat Kohli, because there's going to be some day in life where, Virat Tendulkar stopped playing, Kapil Dev stopped playing. So there's going to be, so the only thought could be that, do you want to go this way? Because as long as you had Mahendra Singh Dhoni, you needed a different kind of players at the top because you were playing in a different way. You had a Hardik Pandya and a Dhoni and, players around him. So that could be the only thought, because you have a problem of plenty in India at the moment and they all want to bat at 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, well, every time Ajay says Tendulkar stopped playing, just the image of that final day, at least, never mind what happened in international cricket, but Lali comes to mind and Ajay's presence there. We can never forget that. And so many other things spun off from there, including Shefali Verma, little interesting nuggets of Indian cricket. But DK, Ajay put it in perspective as well. One is the numbers, and we set that aside in terms of innings. Strike rate is another aspect that people have started talking about when it comes to Virat Kohli. Again, high standards.
Yes. I mean, what are we discussing here? Strike rates?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's a marginal change, you will get a marginal change if you've had a few quiet innings, as you put it. But again, that marginal change still has 132 plus.
I think, look, there's a saying that numbers speak for themselves. I think this is a case of numbers speaking for themselves. There's not much to discuss or debate. Everything looks good here. Maybe we are just used and we are just spoiled a little bit by Virat Kohli over the years. So I completely agree with Ajay Bhai. You speak about numbers for certain types of players, certain places, certain situations. But Virat Kohli and numbers, come on now. We're talking about somebody who's graced the game for so long that he's been an absolute legend.
Yeah, and I think if you look at those numbers, actually, then the whole argument, anybody who's whispering or debating, goes out of the window, because how many players can you line up in India or around the world who would average 75 in 2020 format? You don't average that. Yes, you will find more players who probably have more than 135 average. I mean, strike rate. But numbers itself also don't, allow you to have another discussion. So, Virat Kohli to be discussed, and, if there are rumors and if there are people discussing, fine, because, we are discussing him as well. But I think in what context you discuss about him, I think it's a little sad. I mean, from an Indian cricketer's point of view or, Indian fan point of view also, if there's somebody who's, played for 10, 15, 20 years, at least 12 years for Virat Kohli now, international cricket and the consistency that he's shown, a couple of matches here and there. And if you think Virat Kohli now doesn't fit into your squad, it's a little sad to see that we are also discussing.
Well, it's good to actually put it out there for everyone who might have suggested it. And I think we've put that one to bed. And even the Basra, which we like to look at, it's a good benchmark in a sense, and Virat Kohli's Basra and that one, which is batting average and strike rate combined to give us a figure. And his latest set was in excess of 200. So I think we can just leave that aside for now.
But he's
Somebody
a
else?
Basra pearl. He's not a cultured artificial pearl.
Nicely put. Nicely put. Yeah, yeah. That's. Sometimes we tend to throw these little terms into people without explaining what it means. But yeah, Ajay's put it beautifully with the Basra Pearl. And for those of you who want to see the numbers, add the strike rate to the average, and you give us a rough figure that can tell you how good a batsman is or how well he's performing. Jason Holder, he comes back into the West Indies side with bat and with ball, makes a huge difference. One of the top all-rounders in world cricket. Occasionally, maybe has underperformed. But again, with Jason Holder, worth looking at certain numbers to see how he's been performing. And we've looked at him with the ball, DK, in particular, because while he might contribute with the bat, you like to see those 4 whole overs in T20s and 10 overs in ODI cricket. And these numbers, I think, especially of late, has seen a reinvention of him as a bowler.
Yes, I think it is fair to say that he's rediscovered his ability to bowl with the new ball and white ball cricket. He's been phenomenal. I think started from CPL, and then when he got an opportunity to come back as a replacement in IPL, he's just been out of the world. He's been really good, consistently picking wickets and putting pressure on batters. So I think he's an absolute. He is danger signs. The way he bowls with the new ball, he has the ability to pick wickets and cause trouble to a lot of the top order batters.
And Ajay, one of the little blanks we were looking at when we reviewed the first game was kind of a strike bowler, someone up front, someone to take wickets. Is Jason Holder that missing piece for now?
If you ask me a pure, somebody who could have been the strike bowler, then I would have probably picked Alzari Joseph ahead of him. But as a package, like DK just said, I mean, he's, grown as a player. He bowls with that new ball. It's almost like, not just himself, but rest of the world as well. I mean, you look at the West Indies cricket or even the IPL, didn't believe in him as a 2020 player for a very long time. And, last couple of years, that's changed maybe because the opportunities that he's got, and he's much more experienced. So I think he's used his experience brilliantly. But, if it was just a pure strike rate bowler, I would have, even today, I mean, watching what's happened in the last series in the one day and now, I think Alzari Joseph would have, been my pick. But as a package, you can't go beyond Jason Holder. And West Indies likes to play that way. They like everybody to bat, everybody to bowl. I think they've lost the whole interest of playing with just strike bowlers and strike batsmen. They like players who do everything. So it just allows them to play freely. And Jason Holder fits the bill there perfectly.
Yeah, I think it, as you said, DK, it probably started in the CPL, but when he came in as a replacement for Hyderabad at a point when they desperately needed wins, they needed points, they still didn't end up performing as well as they could have, but Jason Holder was a shining light at the end of that last season.
Yes, I think, last week we had a very interesting IPL event called the auction, and you could see why he went for such a big prize, and that's because of his ability to bowl with the new ball. He's done phenomenally well, and we got to understand that people look at everything these days, every event that is played. When I say people, I'm talking about franchisees and all the support staff. So I think he was somebody who was closely looked at, and the last IPL proved that he's bowling well. He's bowled well in international cricket, especially with the new ball. He's got early wickets. The last series that they've played before this against England, he's got a fifer. So he's been somebody who's been in good bowling form.
Yeah, I think that since DK brought it up, we'll promptly put it up. 5 matches, 15 wickets. Look at that average, 9.6. An economy of under 8 and a best of 5 for 27 is what Dinesh Karthik was referring to in that T20 international series against England. So I think Jason Holder, as the bowler, new avatar, maybe it'll make a difference for Team West Indies. For the moment, yes, we will see Jason Holder with ball in hand fairly soon, but we'll also see Indian team walking out to bat. We've talked about Rohit and Virat and all the top order. One man, Ajay Jadeja, if we have to refer to again, Rishabh Pant. If just sort of where he fits in the order and where he fits in the scheme of things vis-a-vis the way Rohit Sharma thinks. I mean,
Rishabh Pant, who's done well at Test cricket, one-day cricket, it surprises you because, I mean, he's had a very short career in 20, 30, 35 odd games. But I was, talking to our producer and I got some numbers. I mean, these are your numbers, but he's batted actually 16 times at number 4. I was thinking, he's batted later in the order. So for somebody who's batting at 4, he's not been consistent. You've got to say that. Because, when you come to this format, and, I'm not going by this strike rate that you see on the screen, but I'm saying whatever strike rate when he has his good day is actually matched by about 10, 12 other players, even in Indian cricket. There's something special that he's shown you. One day cricket also, okay, yes, he's got, strike rate maybe much more than people. So here, it's interesting because it's very difficult to explain, how can it be that in a 2020 format where actually there's more freedom to, play your shots, he actually has done the least for himself and for India. So, but, Indian team has been very kind to him. He's the vice captain on this tour. And with Rohit Sharma, I think Rohit Sharma backs him. I mean, Rohit Sharma believes in players like that. Rohit Sharma has a little bit of a similar style to Saurav Ganguly, I think. He likes players who are match winners and not just people who add numbers. But, when you look at those numbers and try and remember match winning knocks, I don't think he has a too long a rope. I mean, I love this guy. I'm a big fan. From under 19 days, I've known him when he wasn't even picked for Delhi in a selection meeting when he came and had a conversation, and the confidence that he showed at that day. So I'm a great fan of this man. But, in spite of being a fan, at the end of the day, you want him to, go out there and do it because the queue is too long. People are waiting. People are questioning Virat Kohli. So, Rishabh Pant doesn't even match in terms of, years that you've served Indian cricket. So, better be watchful. People will be gunning for him very soon, in spite of him being vice captain. Yeah, and they should. They're fair to do that.
Yeah, DK, just pick up on that point that Ajay mentioned about the vice captaincy. Is that of course a vote of confidence, but B also, I mean, since we were discussing that number 4 position, is that the best position for him in this batting order in this current Indian team?
We got to understand that, they want to keep the right-left going to an extent. So that's why he's batting at 4. They like to see him bat at 4. He seems to bat 4 at ODI as well. So they want to keep it consistent by making him bat at 4. And they like the fact that he brings a certain impetus when he comes into bat. He has a certain intent, which is carefree and fearless. So, that's been his strength. But all said and done, you got to keep consistently be at it at this level in the way things are going in India.
Yeah, but I guess, at the end of the day, I mean, one of us used the word surprises, and Rishabh Pant's that kind of player. You don't want to change him as a person. On one day, he'll be explosive. On the other day, like the shot he played in the first game, it didn't cost India the game, but it came at a time when things could just have gone wrong. They didn't. But Ajay, would you look back and say, Rishabh, maybe not quite that at the time, or just say, listen, you play your game?
I think the reason why he's, there and he's made it, made a mark or, the impression in the game, even with the opposition, is because the way he plays. I mean, it's tough to ask somebody once they get here, be successful, that you should be playing differently. I think that's totally wrong. I mean, you've accepted him, and the reason why you have him is the way he plays. All I'd say to him is that you're allowed to hold the bat with both hands.
I knew that was coming. I'm glad you put that in there. But I think he hits more sixes with one hand than with two. That is something so unique to Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fabulous player. I mean, there's no doubt in that. And I'm one of his biggest admirers. But what I'm saying is, you see, at the end of the day, this team or Indian cricket team is, yes, captain's team and coach's team and selector's team. But at the end of the day, the best guys who are in form at that particular period of time are playing. I mean, you look at Jason Holder in this case. I mean, he was leading West Indies in the test match one day, but he didn't play 2020 for a while. When he started playing well, they brought him in, so they would leave somebody out. Similarly with teams around the world. So just because you are the best talent doesn't, guarantee you that you will always have a spot. Yes, you will always have a little longer rope if there's somebody like me who, would give an exceptional talent a little extra rope than somebody who's a very hardworking player, but probably doesn't have that talent. I may be wrong in looking at it that way, but each one will look at it differently. But that difference won't be beyond 3, 4, 5 games. It might start 5 games before for somebody else who'll start thinking, should we look left? Should we look right? And in his case, he's got to be very careful because there are guys already in that 11, whether it's KL Rahul or Ishan Kishan, who can also, put on the gloves. So as soon as India is in trouble ever, whenever you're traveling or in the World Cup and you feel, oh, we need another extra bowler or we need another extra batsman, the first guy then to be left out is somebody like this.
Fair point. But yeah, always an enigma, but always someone we wish the very best. DK, I mean, I know you've got a relatively more orthodox manner of playing, but do you remember how many one-handed sixes you might have hit at the highest level?
To be honest, I find it hard to hit sixes with two hands. So forget one hand. It's not happening.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, Rishabh's unique in that way.
Gautam, do you get more than 6 if you hit it with one hand?
If only. Then there would be the whole rule. I think it was Kevin Peterson who suggested rather cheekily that if you really hit a big 6, it should be worth more than 6 runs.
There was a moment when I met him in Delhi and I said, oh, listen, offside ke bhi run hai. So, whether you score left, right, one-handed, whatever, at the end of the day, you got to come back not out, my friend. You're batting at 4. You've got Kohli on this side. You've got, Surya Kumar Yadav on this side. Play along, because it's not just you playing, it's a team playing. So I think that's the only thing that I see missing from him. When he's batting, he feels that he's the one who's playing. But you're chasing a total. Yes, you're not alone going to chase that. You will always have a partner with it. So people who understand that, how best to work with partners, that probably is one thing that, I'd like him to add to his game.
Let me just put Dinesh Karthik's last comment in perspective. When he said he finds it hard to hit sixes with both hands, let alone one hand. 112 sixes in the IPL. DK?
For some strange reason, you put me in a corner, I noticed. Yes, it's been...
It's a good corner. It's not a bad corner. 112 sixes.
No,
okay, I presume all 112 have been with two hands.
I would like to think so.
Okay, let me just to finish off this discussion. There's a possibility if India do win this 2-0 like they did in the ODIs, DK, that they might just make way for a few players to come into the 11. In that context, do you see this match being really important for a few individuals to just put their hand up and say, maybe we won't be playing the third game?
No, I don't think they'll be thinking like that. But we can see that, this Indian team, just like about Ajay Bhai said, there is a problem of plenty in the sense that there's way too much talent. So every game that is there is a God-given opportunity for you to go out there and, make sure that people believe that you're the guy needed there. So on that front, I think everybody have a lot to gain with every game they play. And obviously, you have to take into account that West Indies not probably playing at their best, so gives you another opportunity to go and stamp your authority and make sure you produce a match-winning performance. The two performances that we remember, or rather I can make it 3, would be obviously Bishnoi, Surya Kumar, and to an extent Venkatesh Iyer, because they stood out. They did something phenomenal. Yes, Rohit batted brilliantly, and there's no point talking about Rohit trying to hold on to a place in the side. He's the captain. He's way too good. He's one of the legends of the sport. But for the others who are establishing themselves, every game right now is a critical game, and every time they get an opportunity, they'd be wanting and waiting to do something special. And add to that a fiery outfield like Eden Gardens, you can make a mockery of the bowling attack if you get in.
All right, give us one player each. Ajay, I'll start with you. One player to watch out for Team India from your personal perspective.
I think Virat Kohli, especially with the announcement coming that he's not going to be around for the next series. I'm sure he'll leave a mark and go, and that's how I hope it ends up and turns out.
DK, one player from you.
I think Ishan Kishan will come out all guns blazing today.
All right, 2 players to watch out for. Right at the top, Ishan Kishan and Virat Kohli. India batting first after having lost the toss. Ian Bishop has just rung the gigantic bell at Eden Gardens. We just hope for everyone's sake that the bell is okay, because he gave it an almighty whack, did Big Bish. But yeah, that means we're all set for the game to start. But we're not all set for this show to finish, because we need to get our lovely quiz question in. While I ask the question, gentlemen, think of a number in your head for India in 20 overs. First, the joy factor question. And here it is for today. Which UK-based cricket franchise's name is a play on two IPL team names, one former and one present? UK-based cricket franchise. This is fun with names, fun with numbers. We had a fun question yesterday as well, which connected Vasbert Drakes to Dominic Drakes. So Joy is having some fun with these questions here. We hope you do with the answer. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live. For now, we don't want Ajay or DK to answer this question. We simply want a number from them. Who wants to go first? I can't say in batting order because you've both had very similar.
194.
194. All right, Ajay, are you topping that?
183.
183.
That's my permanent number. It's a blind that comes out.
Yeah, but I was going to go higher, but I'm just going to be a little conservative. Decent score, but let's give Jason Holder his due for 4 overs, and I'm going to say 178. 178. So 178, 183, 194. That's the 3 scores we've got in 3 different decades of numbers, if you like it. 10th over, Cricbuzz Combox will be back. And of course, we'll wrap it all up in the first innings at the halfway stage. That's all we have from Cricbuzz Live. This is Gautam Bhimani signing off on behalf of Ajay Jadeja and Dinesh Karthik.